So grateful for our worship team. Thank you guys. And give it up for the worship team leading today, man. Thank you. Way to use their talents for the Lord. Hey, well, let me introduce you to Ted Vance. Ted Vance is one of our 9 a.m. small group leaders, so you probably never ever get to see him around here. We are so glad that you're here, Ted, to finish up our last message in this series called Measure Up. We've been spending the last 2 weeks talking about just how unwise it is to constantly compare yourself to others. That no matter if you're always comparing to the people left to you, the people right to you, you will never measure up. You will always feel like, man, if I was just more popular, or if I just had a girlfriend, or if I just had a boyfriend, or if I just made the team, then I would be happy. If I was just in the class, with the kids in the smarter classes, then I would be happy. I would feel like I could survive this thing. And I'm telling you, you cannot live that way. There's no way to win when you're comparing yourself to others. Instead, our identity has to come from the Lord. When you have God as your identity, when you know that you are loved by Him, then it doesn't matter who is next to you or anything, because you're not comparing yourself to them. So I'm really excited about our message today and the story that Jesus is going to share with us.
Okay, so as we wrap up the series, we're going to take a look at a parable that Jesus taught. A parable is a kind of like a little fictional story that Jesus would teach people and to use that to explain different thoughts or different things that Jesus wanted to teach. And the parable that we're doing today is called the parable of talents. And it kind of starts something like this. You had a master who owned a lot of property and a big house, and he had 3 servants with him. And this master needed to leave town for a while, and he had a bunch of money at home, a bunch of gold money that he wanted his servants to watch over for him until he got back. And these servants, there were 3 different servants, and they each had different talents and different responsibilities, and so he gave part of his gold to each servant depending on what their responsibilities were. So the first servant got 5 bags of gold. It's a lot of gold. Second servant got 2 bags, and the third servant got 1 bag of gold. So the servants went out, and first servant took the 5 bags of gold. He invested it, he did things with it, and he made 5 more bags of gold. So he turned that 5 bags into 10 bags of gold. That was fantastic. Second servant went out and took his 2 bags of gold. Same thing, he invested it, he made it work, and he made it into 4 bags of gold. So he doubled the amount that he had. Third servant, however, he didn't do anything. He literally took the gold, went out to a yard somewhere, dug a hole, and buried the gold in the ground. Don't know why he did that. Maybe he was lazy. Maybe he was nervous, maybe he didn't like handling money, we don't know. But for whatever reason, he took that gold and just buried it in the ground. So after a long time, the master came back, and he got the 3 servants together and wanted to see what happened with his gold. So the first servant went up to him and said, "Master, I took your 5 bags of gold, I invested it, did a lot of things with it, I turned it into 10 bags of gold." The master said, "That's fantastic. You did really good things with it. Trust me with bags, and I gained more, so you have been faithful with that gold." And so the master made him responsible for a lot of other things, made him more responsible and gave him more jobs to do. Second servant, same thing. Came up to the master and said, "Master, you gave me 2 bags of gold, I turned it into 4 bags of gold." The master was very pleased, said, "You took this responsibility, and since you're so good with it, I'm going to give you more responsibility, and I'm very, very happy." So this parable, if you think of the master like your parents. Parents, they maybe give you an allowance, maybe they give you some responsibility at home, and you can either take on that responsibility, take on that allowance and do good things, or you could do nothing. You could just literally bury it in the ground. When your parents see if you're smart with your allowance, smart with your responsibilities, they'll give you better things, bigger things, more things to do.
Yeah, whatever you're trusted with, right? They're going to do better. So then we come to the last servant, right? The third guy, and we know what's coming. Look at what the scripture says. It says, then the man who'd received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you're a hard man, harvesting where you've not sown and gathering where you've not scattered seed. So I was afraid, and I went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. He's like, hey, I know what you expect, and I knew I couldn't do that, so I didn't want you to lose any money, so here's what I did, right? So, of course, the master, what is his response? Check it out. The master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed? Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the banker so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. He's going, at the very least, you could have done that. And for him, the guy with 1, he probably feels like, well, it's the master's fault. You didn't give me very much to work with, so I didn't want to lose what you had, right? And so then the master continues. He says, so take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags, right? Whoever is responsible with a lot, they're going to be, for the master, he's going to make more money giving his money to that guy than it is for the other guy. So then Jesus kind of brings it home with this. It says, forever, whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Right? God gives a responsibility, and he didn't come through with it, so he's like, hey, now you're out of here. You know, that is the pain of a missed opportunity, that God gives you something that you have. He's given you something, and instead of cultivating it, you're so worried about what everyone else has that you ignore the gift that you have, and you miss that opportunity. That happened to you with your music.
It did. It was when I was a young kid, about 7 or 8 years old, I started taking piano lessons, and then got into choir at church, started singing a lot. When I got into junior high school, about your age, I started playing guitar. I taught myself how to play guitar, and did that at church as well in different groups. Got into high school and joined the marching band. Do we have any band geeks?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did that, was in the drum line, and I did that all the way through high school. I also played saxophone in jazz band in high school, and just continued learning more and practicing a lot and getting better. Got into college, was a music major in college. Did all sorts of performances, traveled around different states, did different things, and then I stopped. And I got burnt out. I felt I was never good enough. There was always somebody a little bit better, could always do a little bit more, and I got frustrated, and I quit. I stopped doing it. I stopped singing. I still have the guitar. It's in my closet. We have a piano at home, but I really never play it anymore. I just kind of took that gift and just kind of pushed off to the side. I do have one good thing about it, though. In high school, I met a flute player. We started dating, and we ended up getting married and having 2 wonderful daughters. So they get some good out.
That worked out. You know, it's just that idea that you are so busy looking at everyone else's gifts and talents that you're like, mine's not so great. And so you buried it and missed out on what could have been amazing. You know, for Jesus, the idea here is that you have been entrusted with something unique and incredibly special for you. And what you do with that thing is what really matters. It's not about worrying about what everyone else has. It's what are you going to do with what God has given you?
So we're going to use an example of different things about different people. And we have here a locker. Go Browns, hopefully. Wow. So most of you probably go to junior high school and probably may have a locker at school. And everyone's locker has different things in it. And this locker, we have different things. So God gives you talents. He gives you abilities. And we have some stuff here in this locker that kind of represent abilities. God gives you time. He gives you time to do things, time to spend with family, time to spend with friends, time to spend here at church. God gives you family.
That's a good-looking family.
It's a good-looking
He's
family.
really blessed you.
Oh, I figured out who that family is. So God has given you family. He's given you parents, guardians, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins. Okay? God has given you ability at school, kind of like this guy. Okay? He gives you smarts to do well in school in different subjects.
Lots of sweet skills. Bow hunting skills.
And we got one other skill if I can get to it. Kenneth, you can help me out there, buddy.
Oh yeah, you got two more. You got another one, two more.
So God gives you skills to do things, physical skills. So maybe you can be like LeBron or Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson from when I was a kid. It gives you different skills. Okay, so we got a basketball.
Yeah, another resource that you have is hanging out with friends. You know, God's given you a group of friends to be with and hang out with, and that's another incredible resource that God's given you.
So, point is, with this locker, everyone who has a locker has skills, and nobody's locker is the same. Every locker is unique. And this is what has been entrusted to you to use by God. What's in this locker is not as important as how you use what's in this locker. Okay, you may go around, you may compare your locker to someone else's locker, you may look at them and go, gosh, I wish I had the bigger iPhone, or I wish I had the tablet, or you know, I wish I had the ability to be on that basketball team, or you know, I wish I had the ability to take that money and invest it and grow that money. But you don't want to do that because God has given you specific talents. He wants us to celebrate what He has gifted to others. Okay? He also wants us to embrace what has been entrusted to us and do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the question is, what do you do with that? How do we take this message and how does that relate to us? How does it keep us from playing this comparison game? How do we not be like that one guy with one talent saying, hey, you didn't give me all that? Well, I think the idea here is this, that instead of comparing yourself to others, you need to celebrate what they have and use what God has given you. Now, the hard part about this is it's really tough to do. It's hard to celebrate what other people have. Like, when someone else makes the team, it's hard to be like, Lord, I'm so glad she made the team just because her dad's the coach and I'm a better player than her, right? Or, I am so glad that he got that girl that I've had a crush on for the last 2 years. Lord, thank you for that. You know, no, you're not going to do that. It is really, really hard. But eventually, if you continue focusing on what God has given you, then believe it or not, you can be grateful for that. You know, a lot of times I feel like I'm the guy that has 5 talents and I'm complaining that I don't have more. And all the while the guy with 1 talent is like, yo, you got 5 talents. I only have 1. Like, I complain that, oh man, I don't feel like running today. I don't feel like walking and getting out exercise. My friend Jeremiah was born with cerebral palsy, so he has lived in a wheelchair his whole life. So while I'm sitting going there, man, I wish I could go out and walk today, he's like, yeah, I wish I could walk. You know, or I think about, man, there is nothing good in the fridge. There's nothing there. And then I think about the people in Burundi that my swing wife goes and see, who they are lucky if they eat, and that's once a day. You know, while I'm like, man, there's nothing to eat, and they're like, man, it must be nice to eat. Plain. So this whole idea of comparing yourself to other people, you will never be happy. Instead, the hope is that you can get to a point where you can be so grateful for what God has given you that you can actually celebrate what God has given other people. In other words, there's extraordinary satisfaction every day in being exactly who God created you to be.
So this week we want all of you to ask God to help you avoid comparing yourself to others. And instead be committed to using everything that He has given you for His glory, and to encourage others to do the same by celebrating those gifts that He has uniquely given to you.
Yeah, and as you guys leave, going into small groups, we're going to jump into small groups right away. I want you to think about this question: how can you use what God has given you? How can you use what God has given you?